Committee. In commenting on the 2025 budget, I would like to align myself with our colleagues in thanking President of Federal Republic of Nigeria for considering defense as an important area. If we do not keep ourselves peacefully, I don't see how we can even do anything in Nigeria. In putting defense and security as a top priority, it means we will do a lot to go back to agriculture. Because once we go to agriculture, I would like to see where this budget will address some issue and put stimulus into banks like Bank of Agriculture, the Bank of Industry, so that we can put stimulus back to the economy. If there is no much stimulus in the economy, what we are preaching about in shadowing down the dollar or keeping the dollar lower is not going to happen. We must do more on agriculture where exports production will be key to what we are going to be looking at 2025. And in praising Mr. President of the Republic, we have to pay more attention to the manufacturers. One of my colleagues, Ida Shemole, just said that because in the manufacturing sector, capacity utilization is down. There is no stimulus in any sector of this sector. So, Mr. President, I'm appealing to you, President of Senate, to see how you can redirect some issues in this budget that will favor the manufacturers and all the rest of them by supporting Bank of Industry very well and supporting the other developmental banks that are within the region so that people can go back to manufacturing, people can go back to production. Because without production, we are not going to do much as a country. I also want to use the opportunity to appeal to you, what my colleague said, Senator Abubakar Sani Bello. When you go to our embassies, Mr. President have done very well in the last few months in making new friends for Nigeria and in making Nigeria to be center of world leaders to visit us. But Mr. President, we need to address the issue of our consulates, our embassies, and all the rest of them. They are in a very poor condition. These embassies need rehabilitation, and Mr. President needs to, as a matter of fact, put his representative, like he just went to Brazil.
Your time is up, Senator Orji Kalu.
He just went to Brazil. He has nobody to continue what he has done. You need to put the ambassadors and wave finance and all the rest of them for them. So, Mr. President.
Time is up, Senator Abbas, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I have to back to what you said.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Aminu Abbas. By providing this 2025 budget, and despite the fact there's no sectoral allocation indicated in the budget, but I did a little analysis to see that aside from the debt servicing, which takes about 16-point-something trillion, the remaining budget, about 60% of the budget is going to be spent on capital, which is very commendable by Mr. President. That's about 17-point-something trillion will be spent on capital. Secondly, Mr. President, if you look at the NBA statistics recently, over 600,000 Nigerians were killed within the last 12 months. So if Mr. President is providing 4-point-something trillion on defense and security, I think we need to even encourage him to provide more for defense and security, because people pay ransom, according to MBS, of over 2-point-something trillion within the last 12 months. So we are going to commend Mr. President. I even asked him to improve more on the provision for defense and security, Mr. President. Finally, Mr. President, I want to state that research institutions were abandoned. We neglect research institutions. Any country that neglect research and development, the country is doing it at their own peril. I want to encourage Mr. President, the next time, the budget will take care of research and development for the country so that we'll be able to produce more in Nigeria and we'll be able to suppress the request for forex. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Aga.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Chief Benson Sunday Agadaga is my name. I speak for the good people of Bayelsa East Senatorial District in Bayelsa State, the state that produced the first oil well in the country, which is the economic mainstay. Mr. President, the budget before us is a laudable budget. It's a commendable budget. I'm particularly excited about the total retained revenue at over 34 trillion. I want to believe that this is a result of the bold economic policies of Mr. President for us to be able to have a revenue of that amount. It could be recalled that the budget this year, it's actually shown that the budget is at over 47 trillion. In less than 10 years ago, we had a budget of about 4 trillion naira. In about 10 years, it's now 47 trillion. It's commendable. It actually shows that we have hope in the economy of this country. I want to thank Mr. President. However, education should actually be increased, because when we consider the number of times, the number of universities and higher institutions were established on the floor of this Senate, it becomes marvelous how we can get money to source for that. So I want to actually say that we need to move closer to the UNESCO recommendation by giving more to education. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Victor Ome.
Colleagues, I'm Senator Babangida Hussein representing Jigawa Northwest. Mine is going to be short, sharp, and straight. What made music to my ears yesterday during the budget presentation was Mr. President's commitment, and I quote, "Food security is not negotiable. In this regard, we are taking bold steps to ensure that every Nigerian can feed conveniently and none of our citizens will have to go to bed hungry." This is sweet music to my ears and to the ears of all Nigerians. We are praying that this commitment will be upheld and kept, and the issue of food will be history, food scarcity will be history in Nigeria. Thank you very much, and congratulations to Mr. President.
A lot of people have spoken about insecurity and why the lack of security has brought us to this level. There are three major areas that all over the world, government will always intervene. These are health, education, and agriculture. I hope that this budget, after taking care of health and education, will equally look inward, because you cannot secure the environment and you don't have enough to deploy into agriculture for farmers to really do what they need to do. I'm hoping that we will be able to look inward again and see what we can do to support the aspect of agriculture in this budget. Because with that, we can produce what we eat and eat what we produce. All we need is to jack up our production. That is the most important aspect. If not, then whatever we are securing, then that means we are just securing it for vacuum. So I hope that my colleagues, at the end of the day, when we are looking at the details of this budget, we will be able to do more for agriculture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your time is up. Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Venus Yaro.